Ready? Yep. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start this work session, October 15th, 24. Item number one on the agenda is the Edwards Drive name change request. This is a road off of, 113? That angles to the left. It's about 3/4 of a mile long. There's one house, there's a couple of property owners on it, and it angles off and goes up to downtown Breaktown, I guess you'd say, wouldn't you? And the request is made by Mr. and Ms. Edwards Lee to change that from Edwards Drive. I don't think they care what it's. Yeah, but there is 2 or 3 different roads that could be known as Edwards, and they have a problem with Amazon. Delivery. Yeah, any kind of delivery. Okay. You got any questions?
I don't believe so.
This your district,
How many
Danny?
residents are on that road?
I don't think there's but actually one resident.
Yes.
There's some different property owners, but I think one resident.
How long have y'all been there and experiencing this problem?
We've lived there for 17 years, and we've had the problem for about 16 years.
Okay,
For a very long time.
okay, thank you.
Do you get mail delivered there? Yes. You ever had any problems with the mail getting delivered? It's only Amazon.
DHL. Okay.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you. We'll vote on it at the first meeting in November, but it'll be on Wednesday instead of the first Tuesday. The normal meeting day is first Tuesday, but due to the election, we're changing that to Wednesday. Item number 2 is an update to the employees handbook. Y'all all got a copy of this handbook. Go over it, see if you agree with all the changes. And we'll also vote on that.
The majority of the changes on this are, some of them are to get more in line, like the military leave. We're trying to get that where it's absolutely in line with the state of Georgia. Some of it is wording, a little bit of it's formatting, and a couple of the actual changes are currently for 10 years, 15 years, and 20 years of service to the county, an employee gets 1, 2, or 3 additional paid leave days. And we had requests for people that are here for it to go to 5, 10, and 15. And we do have, you don't have as many of the 15 and 20-year people like you used to, and it's a nice incentive for the employees.
Is the red, the new?
Yes. It's either, correcting some wording or changing, and you can see on that whether it's a change or if it's just, clarifying.
Okay.
Read them over, and you'll have an opportunity to vote. Item number 3 is House Bill 581 information. Zach, you want to come in and update the commissioners on this? This is something the legislature passed. It's gonna be interesting.
This is essentially what they've been calling a floating homestead, so it will only allow the taxable value of properties that are under a homestead that begins 2024 homesteads in any year future, to where it only floats up, the taxable value will only float up a certain amount. So if you're familiar with conservation, it works very similarly to that. Whereas conservation only has about a 3% increase a year, this bill looks to be that it is left up to the revenue commissioner with the Department of Revenue to decide what that factor will be. Everyone's current speculation is it will likely be tied to CPI. There are a number of CPIs that could be selected from. It appears that it would be core CPI at this point, is my present understanding from everything I've heard with the Department of Revenue, and you're looking at about a 3% increase a year. So effectively what will happen is many people within the DOR describe it as creating a separate class of properties, in the sense that when you're under this homestead and you receive this float, as it is, capped to homesteads defined by the Georgia Constitution as your house and 1 acre of land. So if you have a house and 5 acres of land, it will not apply to the additional 4 acres. Those 4 acres will continue to increase in the taxable value by whatever the property increases are. Some of the issues that people see with this floating homestead is, whereas property values in what is often referred to as a good market increase by 5% a year, you're looking at the taxable value only increasing by about 3% a year. Further aspects of this bill do include that if all governing authorities in the county opt into this bill, that it is on the ballot for November by House Resolution 1002, I believe, is the House resolution that it is tied to. If that were to pass, then the local governing authorities would have the option of either opting, they would have to opt out is the option. If you do nothing, it's an automatic opt-in. It is also tied to a special local option sales tax increase of 1 cent, that if you were to opt out of the bill, or if any of the other governing authorities besides the Board of Education were to opt out of this bill, then all parties would no longer be entitled to that local option sales tax increase. Any other questions?
The local option sales tax also has to be used to roll back your property tax. 100% of it has to be used in that way. And as Mr. Smith said, if one city opts out, nobody in the county we can't levy that tax at all. The other thing that was said to us, Don and I went with Mr. Smith to the ACCG GMA seminar regarding this. The other thing that was said was it's going to pass in the state. And if you opt out and your citizens raise Cain to their legislators because they just voted to get this and you opted out, then probably your legislator is going to go over your head and create local legislation, put it through the Senate, the House or Senate, whichever it would have to go through, the legislators, and you're going to get it anyway. At that point, now correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, at that point, they can set it at 0. They can set it at 0 and you can't change it. So I'd live in my house for 20-something years and my taxable is not going up. So there's a lot to think about. And basically, we were told by GMA and ACCG that this is going to happen one way or the other. They're going to manage to get it across and going. And so if you opt out at this point, we're hurting ourselves.
If I may, on this one as well, one thing they continue to note as well, if you were to opt out, or any of the other governing entities besides the school board in this case, were to opt out, again, no one would receive the special local option sales tax increase, which is meant to offset the loss in the digest because of that. And if you were to opt out, or any of the other entities were to opt out, and we lose this local option sales tax this time, there is no present course for us to receive it in future times. So the local option sales tax aspect of it is essentially a one-time deal, that if all parties opt in, then everybody receives the local option. But if any entity apart from the school board opts out, then no one will receive it moving forward.
How will that penny be split?
It will be split. There will have to be an agreement among all of the governing authorities as to how that will be spent.
Including the Board of Education?
Yes,
No,
sir.
They all, even both Department of Educations have to agree to opt in along with all 4 cities.
no, the Board of Educations can opt out and it will not affect you.
It will not affect
The sales tax is split. They said it would be an agreement similar to your lost, somewhat based on, population.
population.
Is that correct?
And that 1% will be perpetual.
Yes, sir.
You only get this year to get it.
Yes, sir.
But your tax notices will show the current value, and they'll also show the value that you're being taxed at, correct?
Correct.
What this mean, you understand what it means? If you and I, if there's 2 houses in the subdivision, you live in one, you've been there for 20 years, your taxes, are gonna
Freeze.
probably go up at 2% a year. Your value will. If I move in next door after you've been there 20 years, same house, same, built at the same time, where your taxes is $1,000, mine could be $7,000 or $8,000. Is that not true?
That is very correct. Muskogee
Based on
County.
one.
Based on the value that you give current.
Based on the current value, it's gonna stop people from moving. Now, that's my opinion. You're not gonna, sell your house that you've been in for 20 years and paying $1,000 taxes and move into the same house across town that would be closer to something and pay $7,000-8,000. Isn't that, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And somebody's gonna have to pick up the difference, probably the commercial or the new home buyers are gonna have to pay the way for the people that's been in their houses for long term.
The non-homesteaded also.
Yeah.
Any rentals?
Yeah.
Another,
Going on for a number of years and they're just now pushing it out, or is this the first unveiling of this?
There are several counties that have had this for a number of years. Muskogee County, I believe, has had this close to maybe even 30 years at this point. And you can see wild variations in the differences of taxation in Muskogee County. I believe Chatham County has had a floating homestead for a number of years, and Carroll County also has a floating homestead that is in place. It's very popular in the state of Georgia right now among some of the larger counties particularly.
It's a push out of South Georgia, some of the counties that was way below what they should have been.
That is my understanding, yes, sir.
Yeah, that would make you not meet your ratios.
No, sir, we'll have to continue to keep up with the fair market value. Whatever the fair market value is, we'll have to keep basically 2 sets of numbers, as we do with conservation right now. We have to maintain what the fair market value of those properties under conservation are, but we also have to maintain the numbers for what their percentages are based on conservation.
Okay.
And both prices will show up on your tax bill, what it's valued at and what it's taxed at. It'll be 2 different figures.
for the assessor's office, another headache would be if the county opts in and a city opts out, they're gonna have to now keep three different values. And, I mean, they're gonna have to keep your fair market value, your value where it started, and then whoever opted out, a whole different.
Could you receive a tax bill from the county at one bay and a tax bill from the city at another bay?
Essentially, that's how it would operate, yes, sir.
Wow.
Any more questions? Okay. Item number 4 is executive session. We need a motion to go into executive session. Do we vote?
I move we go into executive session for purposes of
Employee.
employment, employees.
Second.
All in favor, show of right hand. We're in executive.